Welcome to everyone. This week video will cover the Bitcoin's market for the week of February 3rd, 2025. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. My last update was on November 1st, 2024. During this update we expected the first 20 weeks cycle low, since the last 18 months in August 2024, to form in mid-December 2024. Let's see what's happened and what we expect for the next 5 months. Let's start with the 20-day cycle. After forming his last 20-day cycle low on January 9th, the Bitcoin's market crossed above his cycle line on January 17th at 100,164, providing an upside target at 109,113. $8,949 or 8.93% of potential profits. 3 days later on the January 20th, the Bitcoin's market made a high at $109,356, meeting perfectly his target. After forming his 20-day cycle peak, the Bitcoin's market started his correction, and like expected found support on his cycle line on January 27th, meeting perfectly the length of the Hurst nominal model for the 20-day cycle length, 18 days. The next 20-day cycle low is expected to form on February 14th, and should cross below his cycle line. It will provide a downside target for the next 40-day cycle low. After the 20-day cycle low confirmation on the January 27th, I draw the 20-day cycle trend line, the green trend line. When the Bitcoin's market will cross below it, this will confirm the 40-day cycle has formed or in formation. Before starting his correction, there is the possibility the Bitcoin's market will make a new high. The 20-day cycle gave 3 trading signals since the beginning of 2025 and only 2 was successful, giving a success rate of 66%. The 40-day cycle. Due to the Hurst synchronicity rule, the January 9th, 2025 was also the last 40 days cycle low. After forming his low, the Bitcoin's market crossed above his cycle line at 96,885 on January 15th. This crossing provided an upside potential $102,555 target, $5,670 or 5.85% of potential profits. 2 days later, the Bitcoin's market meet and exceed his target. Now the Bitcoin's market is on his way to his 40-day cycle peak, which should be about now. When the 40 days cycle peak will be confirmed, the Bitcoin's market will correct and should find support on his cycle line on February 12th. At that time the cycle line will be around $104,000. If the Bitcoin's market follow this scenario, then we can expect the market move sideways for the next 2 weeks. If the Bitcoin's market cross below his 40-day cycle line, this will means there is some weakness in the Bitcoin's market. So far this year the 40-day cycle gave 1 trading signal. This signal was successful, giving a success rate of 100%. The 80-day cycles. Since the last 80 days cycle low on January 9th, 2025, the Bitcoin's market trade along his cycle line until the January 23rd. When the market crossed above his cycle line at 103,650 for a potential target at 116,085. $12,345 for 12% of potential profits. The only concern is, after crossing above his cycle line, the Bitcoin's market keep moving down. This could be the first sign of some weakness coming into the Bitcoin's market. We have to watch carefully if the market cross below his cycle line before meeting his target. If that happen, then this will invalid the 116,085 upside target, and this could be negative for the Bitcoin's market. And we can expect more decline to come. The next 80 days low is scheduled for March 18th. This is the first trading signal for the year 2025. The Bitcoin's market 20-week cycle. Like the S&P 500, the Bitcoin's market 20-week cycle run longer than expected. The last 20-week cycle was 22 weeks long, 4 weeks longer than the Hurst nominal model. This cycle low occurred on January 9, 2025, instead of mid-December 2024. Like expecting in my last update, the Bitcoin's market found support on his cycle line. then rebound on his way to his next 20-week cycle peak. The next 20-week cycle low is scheduled during the first 2 weeks of May. Technically, at that time the Bitcoin's market's supposed to cross below his 20-week cycle line and should find support on his 40-week cycle. The crossing will provide a downside target for the next 40-week cycle. It's still too early to know where the 20-week cycle line will be. The 40-week cycle. Due to the Hurst rule of synchronicity, the last 40-week cycle formed at the same time than the last 18 months low in August 2024. The next one is expected to form on the 3rd weeks of April 2025. Since it's the first 40-week cycle since the last 18-month cycle low, the Bitcoin's market should find support on his cycle line. This cycle line will be between $100,241 and $95,133. In conclusion, the Bitcoin's market is still in bull market, but we expect the 40 weeks peak form very soon. On the upside, the next target is $116,085, and on the downside we have to watch the market reaction when he will form his next 40-week cycle. The numbers to pay attention on the downside are between $100,241 and $95,133. For more details on the shorter term or about how the cycles work in the stock market, I recommend to visit my website, Tradingmarketcycles.com. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up, share the video. This will help my channel. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss any important information. Thank you to follow me and see you next week for a new video.